Hello, hello, hello. Hello from my little studio in my bedroom here in Prague, the Czech Republic. Grab a coffee or a tea or a cocoa, whichever you prefer, and join me for this conversation. I hope you'll enjoy it. And if you have any questions or suggestions or information that you would like to share, please do in the comment section or approach me directly via an email or via Instagram. Okay, let's begin. So, my name is Madara and I work in a Montessori school. I'm a Montessori guide and I work with children ages 6 to 12. At the same time, I'm also on a training with Gabor Mate and Saddaram Kaur called the Compassionate Inquiry. So the two passions, Montessori and therapy work, I have put together and I have opened this YouTube channel to talk about them and how they fit together. Why? Because when I studied Montessori, when I was on a Montessori course, I realized that that's not enough to train an adult in their work with children, that there needs to be more work done, more inner work done. So that's what I want to talk about here with you today and in my previous videos, which you can check out, and in my future videos. Anyways, let's land on today's topic. So as I said, I am on a course with Gabor Mate and Saddaram Kaur called Compassionate Inquiry, and I'm gonna link the course down in the description so you can check it out, what it means and what we do there, okay? And so on that course we have a long list of obligatory reading, and I have started reading some of the books, and one of those books is written by an author called A.H. Almaas, and the book is called Elements of the Real in Man. It's the book 1 from the Diamond Heart series. Well, this author comes originally from Kuwait, but at the age of 18 he moved to the United States, and his name A.H. Almaas is actually not his real name, it is his pen name, and Almaas from Arabic means diamond. So that's beautiful pen name I found. Yeah, so the chapter 13 in his book is called Growing Up, and when I read this chapter it blew my mind, and the only thing I was thinking about is how I would love to share it with other people, and I did. All my friends, all my colleagues have heard of this book before, and now I want to share it with you, just a little insight. So the chapter Growing Up. So I'm gonna read some of it, actually most of it, because it's so interesting, and alongside reading for you I'm gonna comment and share my experiences, my maybe opinions even. Yeah, so we'll see where it goes and how it goes, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So let's begin. He writes, I consider our work situation a kind of school. So what does he mean by work? By work, he means the inner work. It's what I mentioned in the beginning, that I find that we adults, that's what we need to do on the top of any kind of training, including a Montessori training. So he continues. One important distinguishing feature of a school is that it is not a nursery. I think if we try to understand the differences between a nursery and a school, we might understand better what is it we are doing here. And by here he means, actually this book, how I understand, is a series of lectures that he has given to his students in his school. So he's actually talking directly to his students, and that's why he says here, meaning here where they were, together and people were listening to him. But here we can also assume and relate to as here and now us here. Yeah. So the main difference is that a nursery is for very little children and a school is not. If you go to a school and believe it's a nursery, you probably won't learn anything. You'll just be a pain in the butt for the teachers. Isn't this place to be taken care of, given things, made to feel safe, protected, loved, and all of that? In a nursery, the small child is not expected to take care of himself. Well, I know what Montessorians will say, and I want to add here as well that we don't really think that way in Montessori. We don't really think that way about small children. They do actually come to a nursery to learn physical independence and to take care of themselves physically. And of course, at the same time, adults take care of them, make sure that the environment is safe, that other children are safe, and that the child, him or herself, is safe, and so on. So there is like a fine balance, right? How much independence the child can take upon himself or herself, and how much there should be adults' intervention. But that's a topic for another day. I just want to make sure and let everybody know that I know how Montessori people think about it, and I don't think that this author meant to offend anybody, and definitely he didn't mean to offend little toddlers that are very capable. And right, I wanted also to include, if Montessori people will know, there is a webpage called montessoriguide.com, and they have an amazing video library, including a library of videos of how toddlers work in a prepared environment. So I'm going to link that webpage in the description of the video, so those ones who are interested how capable toddlers are, please check out the link. Okay, now back to his writings. So, an adult provides for, protects, and watches over the child. And the child is not expected to be responsible for himself. Well, we can argue here, like I said, okay, we do expect some things from the children, but we are there for them and guiding them and, and supporting them. In a school, a child is expected to have more responsibility, which is true. In fact, that is one of the things a person is expected to learn in school, to have more responsibility for his own learning. The teacher gives you information and direction, and you go learn by yourself. Well, at least that's how it happens in a Montessori school. In a Montessori 6 to 12 environment, we have a prepared environment, and what we do, of course, we do share with children knowledge, and there is an input, there are lessons and guided work, but at the same time the focus is on the independent work, which is enabled by the materials prepared by the adult in the classroom, okay, for the level of the child ages 6 to 12. And that's again a topic for another day, and if you are particularly interested in this and how it looks like, you can also go back to the montessoriguide.com videos. They also have videos on the children ages 6 to 12, so you will have some idea how it happens, or just simply leave a comment and I can record a video on that. So in this school, we have the opportunity to grow up. When he says in this school, he means what I mentioned earlier, in his school, where adult people come and learn and work, do the inner work. So he calls that a school too. It is a school to grow up in. In society at large, the usual situation is like a nursery full of little children. I'm gonna repeat that. In society at large, the usual situation is like a nursery full of little children. I hope it doesn't offend you. Because when I discussed this with my colleague, she did get offended a little, and we discussed it why. Because, and she said, why is he calling me a child? I'm an adult. But bear with me, bear with this book. It will be explained as I continue. Okay? So, where did I stop? The main difference between an actual nursery and society at large is that a nursery is recognized as a nursery, while society at large believes that everyone is an adult, even though everybody is still a child pretending to be an adult. Our work is to learn what it is really like to be an adult, to find out what growing up is really about. So, I'm gonna continue. If you're triggered, if you are offended, bear with me, bear with this. Let's explore it together. The fact that you don't want to grow up, that you want to continue being a baby, explains almost everything you feel. It explains, for instance, the common pattern of people being angry at the teacher or at their boss or at their spouse or at their friend for not doing or being enough for them. They say, "Why don't you do more for me? Why is it so difficult?" What they are really saying is, "You are not a good mommy." This is exactly how babies feel when mother is not being what they want. An adult does not think that way. An adult looks at the situation and asks, what is the best way this situation can be used? What can I get out of it? So, harsh. It might be harsh to listen to this, but let's keep going, okay? There's no place for complaints in this work. Work meaning the inner work. What do complaints do? Complaints are used only to keep mommy around. You complain to mommy and mommy makes you feel better. When you are an adult, what's the point in complaining? If you feel angry at your teacher or spouse or your boss or your friend, or at the schedule or the parking situation, you are thinking that mommy should be there to take care of you, to fix the situation. But you are supposed to be learning to be adults, which means to do the best you can do in this situation. You do not come here to be given something. You come here to grow up. The same pattern happens in every part of your life and my life, our life. When you are in a situation where something doesn't go right, most of the time you get angry, you complain, you get sad about it, you blame the other person, or you blame yourself. What good does that do? Do you see that only a child would behave that way? If something doesn't go right, an adult will look at the situation, see what she or he can do, and forget about the rest. Everything else is just a waste. And I want to give you a specific also example from my life. It happened this week. This week was somehow hard for me. Not gonna go into details, but for the whole week I felt down, and I was making sure that others also see it and feel it, a total childish behavior. And I have a specific example. I think it was Monday morning or so. My partner, he was out walking our doggy, and I texted him, "Can you please bring milk from the shop?" And 10 minutes later, he came back home, and he didn't read the message when he was on the way. So he came in and I said, "Oh, you didn't buy the milk." And he said, "What? I didn't know that you need milk." I said, "Oh, well, I texted you." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't look into my phone as I was walking the doggy." And I said, "You didn't look into your phone? You are always on your phone." And I made such a drama, just because I had this expectation that I was completely sure he's gonna bring me milk from the shop, and then the day would be perfect. But for whatever reason, he didn't look into his phone, and I was so disappointed because I had this expectation that he has to take care of me. How? You were supposed to bring me this milk, right? So this is a very good example, and I made such a drama out of it, like a child, like a total child. I had a need, saw my partner as my mom or my dad, my parent who is supposed to take care of me, and I had this tantrum, okay? Like, why didn't you get me milk? Yeah, so you can observe these little situations in your life. Well, hopefully not, but maybe yes, and this was an example of one of those. Okay, next, what else is he saying on this topic? He says, I am not putting you down. That's not the point. I understand why most people behave like infants. And here I can share with you a little from my training. Why do we behave like children? Because it's so true that when we were children, often our needs were not satisfied, so we didn't get this safe and supportive environment from our parents or grandparents, from other adults in our life. So for example, in my case, I feel how still at the age of 35, I long that finally there will be that adult, that someone who will come and take care of me. Because I would say that I didn't experience it as a child on a level I should have. Like, I was not taken care of on a level as I think I should have been, and therefore still I have this longing in me. Okay, I just want someone to take care of me. I want someone to cook for me. I want someone to bring me milk. I want someone to pat me and say, you did great. I still feel that I need this external validation, which as an adult, actually I can give to myself. So at the moment, I'm in a process of catching myself in those situations, in those moments where I slip into being a child and I pull myself out by hair, metaphorically, from those situations. Not always I succeed, but I keep trying. So there's a reason why we behave the way we do, and that's absolutely okay, and it's valid, and it's just how it is. It's not about putting anybody down, and we shouldn't be putting, most importantly, we shouldn't be putting ourselves down. We should be compassionate to ourselves and understand that back then, our parents, our grandparents, adults around us did the best they could, and we as children did the best we could to survive, to adapt, to adjust ourselves to the situation, to the environment we were in. Okay, I'm gonna continue. So our purpose here is to become aware of what is actually happening, to see that most of the time we act like children and our difficulties arise because we want to continue being children instead of growing up. That's absolutely my case. You might believe it is wonderful to live the life of a child, to play and have no responsibilities, but if you look at the child, it's not really that enviable. A child is dependent. A child has no freedom. She or he has no choices. I mean, he refers to, in Montessori, we talk a lot about choices and we give children those choices, but here he thinks about bigger choices, more serious choices. The life of a child is very restricted. The adult is different. An adult has freedom. An adult has choices. So you can't want to continue to be a child and then complain about things not being your way, because children don't have things their way. If you want to have things your way, you have to grow up and make them your way. I think that's really smart. If you want to have things your way, you have to grow up and make them your way. So, work is basically a process of learning to grow up. The inner work is basically a process of learning to grow up. It is not a matter of getting better or becoming a more perfect person. It is a matter of growing up with all that growing up requires, with all the messiness. Because, of course, we know that adult life is messy, and that's absolutely fine. That's how it is. So, what is the difference between a child and an adult? The most important feature is that the baby is unable to feed and protect himself or herself. The parents do these things for the child. Then the child grows up and does these things for himself, herself, and for their children. An adult is a person who can do these things for himself or herself and does not expect somebody else to do it for him or her. An adult is one who is aware of the situation as it is, sees what is there, knows his capacities and limitations, and acts accordingly. An adult is realistic and knows what to expect from a situation and what not to expect. Instead of acting according to his unconscious beliefs, an adult sees what a situation actually provides and what it does not. So, of course, it's easier to say than done, but, we can try. He says something like, instead of acting according to unconscious beliefs, the adult sees what a situation actually provides and what it does not. And this is also another big topic, unconscious beliefs. I'm not sure if you have heard of it or if you've thought of it. Beliefs, those are things, thoughts, actions that we live by on a daily basis, that we act out of, for example, and they drive us, they drive our lives unconsciously. We don't even, think about them. It's just an automatic behavior, automatic language. I'm thinking of an example from my life. Recently I've been dealing in my therapy sessions, I've been dealing with money beliefs, the beliefs around money, and one big belief that I had regarding money is that I don't deserve it. And I'm not going to go into details now why and where it originated, but this belief, and it was very unconscious up until a few weeks ago, and it was driving my life in terms of money. So it was not that I didn't earn enough money or that, money was coming to me in a way, but the moment it arrived, I always found very good ways how to get rid of it, because deep down I believe that I don't deserve it. So I would donate the money away. I would buy an expensive dress that I wear once and then it sits into my closet for two years, and it's just a silly thing to do. Really, it's not about beautifying oneself. It's okay to buy expensive dresses. From my point of view, it's okay to buy expensive dresses if you wear them, if you really show them and enjoy them and experience them. But in my case, I was just spending money here and there to get rid of it, because unconsciously I believed that I don't deserve money. So this belief was actually driving my life, and now when I look back at it, insanity. I think I'm gonna record another video on this therapy session regarding money beliefs and explain it in more detail, because it's very interesting. So an example from him actually regarding beliefs. For example, believing that your partner will give you something, love or security or self-esteem, is the belief of a child, because it is obvious, if you look clearly, that the person will not or cannot give you such things. When you are acting like a child, you continue to believe that the other person is supposed to give you certain things. When she or he doesn't, you get angry and blame them. If you were an adult, you would have known from the beginning that what the person was capable of. But usually we don't see the person for who they really are. What we unconsciously believe is that this person is our mother, and we continue feeling and behaving like a child towards the mother, expecting things and being angry and disappointed when we don't get what we want. An adult does not do this. If something doesn't happen, the adult says, "Oh, I see, I'll do it." But when a baby wants something and the mother doesn't come, the baby cries and makes a fuss. That's what most people do with their friends and spouses and bosses, right? Yeah. When you relate to another human being, you aren't really relating to another human being. Instead, you are constantly relating to that person as if he or she were your father or your mother. The main reason you continue relating to other people as father or mother is that you want to continue being a baby. You want to look at other people as if they were adults and you were a child. So you expect certain things, you're angry when you don't like something, you want things to be your way, you see mummies and daddies everywhere, and you hope you'll get what you want if you are just good. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. This resonates a lot with me because, as I said, and as I mentioned that example earlier, I still catch myself often being in the child's position and expecting things from adults around me, from my colleagues at work, even from children at work. I catch myself expecting things from them, like, for example, love, appreciation, and so on. So I hope this makes you think as much as it did make me think when I first read this chapter. Now, to become aware, to become conscious means to grow up. It means seeing things as they are. When you see things as they are, you'll see there are certain things you need to do. There are certain things you can get from external reality, and there are things you can't. There are basic laws about how the universe works, and an adult is one who is aware of these basic laws and acts accordingly, not like a child protesting and complaining. When rain falls, it falls downward. You can make a fuss about it falling downward if you want it to fall upward, but no matter how much you cry about it, it won't fall upward. So, what else he says about this, and what's interesting is that when we grow up physically, but not emotionally. We continue to unconsciously believe we are dependent in ways that an adult human being doesn't actually have to be. You see yourself as dependent on others for love, approval, recognition, support, nourishment, contact, pleasure. Most people think that's the way it is. They think, how can you be a grown-up person and have a career and a good life unless you have a mate or at least a lover? That's how most people think. They don't question it. They think they need love, and it is true, they do. But what they are seeing is the personality. The ego functions through emotional independence, and you call it love. Yes, well, in preparation for this video, I reflected, of course, on these paragraphs, on this chapter, and I remembered my first loves and my first relationships. And when I look back, it was mostly pure emotional dependence, again, being in this position and wanting my back then partners to soothe me, to appreciate me, to take care of me, and that is all good. But the negative or the problem here, in my opinion, and also that's what he's writing about in the book, is that that it was not coming from an adult point of view, like, oh, we are in relationship and let's take care of each other, let's love each other, let's support each other. It was coming from a child's position. You take care of me, you know, I need this, these are my needs, and you should satisfy my needs. But I was not able to give back to these people, to these my former partners, the same. And also I was not able to give it to myself, you know. I didn't love myself, I didn't take care of myself. I just had a simple expectation, as children do: somebody has to take care of me. Yeah. So most people complain, protest, and feel miserable when they don't get love from the outside. An adult does not complain. An emotionally grown-up person has his or her own love available inside them. They no longer have the unconscious belief that he or she will die without love from outside. You might think from this that growing up means to be alone, isolated, unable to relate, but that is also the fear of a child. Only a kid would believe, oh, I'll be all alone by myself. That's really scary. An adult isn't scared of aloneness or loneliness. An adult knows that he or she has a choice about being alone or being with others. So if you look to others for these things, you will get exactly what's there. And this is an interesting paragraph. And what is that? Psychological babyhood. Essentially, everybody is deficient and hungry, psychologically poor, weak, and unconscious. What you get from the outside is frustration, suffering, pain, and disappointment. Only if you turn to essence will you find real love, support, consciousness, intelligence, strength, and protection. And essence, what he means by essence is that essence is who we are. You know, when we are born, he talks about it in this book about essence, and he describes it as something we are born with. So we are all, as babies, born with a possibility, with the potential of developing our essence. And essence, by essence he means compassion and strength and will and joy and peace and love and value and identity and so on, all the amazing qualities that we humans have. And so the environment is supposed to support the development of essence, but usually often what happens, there's no support. So different aspects of essence, the ones that I listed and other ones, they don't develop. And then we live, you know, we live our lives feeling incomplete, and we want to get this completion. We want others, you know, to complete us in a way, but it is only because we didn't develop the aspects of our essence. So we are kind of faulty in a way. But the good news is that the moment we are aware of it, you know, we can work on those parts of ourselves and go back to our childhood and see why they didn't develop, what happened, and you know, and we can work on developing them now. So that's what he means when he says essence. Where did I finish? So he wants us to turn to essence, and that's where we will find love and support and consciousness, intelligence, strength, and protection. That is where they exist in a pure way. It is a basic and obvious truth that if you turn toward the outside world, you will get the pain that prevails there. And if you turn toward essence, towards inside of ourselves, you will find those things you want. You will find your own essence, which is the source of all the things you thought you wanted from the outside. So the process of growing up is learning that basic law and learning how to turn towards it more and more, how to turn towards the essence more and more, until you are completely, totally the very nature of your essence, seeing that it is all there, all that you need. And I remember a long time ago, one of my friends, she told me, because there is this myth, I would want to say now, or a belief, a strong belief in the society and in movies and novels, that when we find that other person or partner, it's like two puzzle pieces coming together and completing each other. And I remember my friend saying to me, what a crap is that belief? She said, why would you want to be with someone who is half themselves, who is not complete? She said, what you want is two people, two healthy, 100% full and developed. Well, not possible to have, I think it's not possible to develop 100%, but you imagine what I mean. Two complete 100% people coming together and creating 200%, creating something even better, something more, rather than two halves coming together, two half humans, undeveloped, unhappy people coming together and then being unhappy together. So I remember that it was years ago when she shared it with me, and that blew my mind as well, the same as this chapter. So I hope it helps you, maybe the belief of two puzzle pieces coming together, or two halves coming together. Hopefully that belief now is shattered. Yeah, you need to forget about that belief. It doesn't really work that way. So you can cry and blame other people for not giving you what you want, but if you persist in the work, you will finally see that's how it is. Along the way, you will protest, you will resist in many ways. In the process of growing up, you will have many fears about giving up the child's attitude, because you believe that you don't have the capacity to provide what you need for yourself. You believe unconsciously that there is no other way but to look outside. Yet it is possible to grow up. What does grow up mean? You think of a grown up as a person who can take care of you. Why don't you think that you can take care of yourself? You believe your mother or father could do it. Why don't you believe you can do it? The reason you don't is that you want to continue being a little baby and have your mother or your father inside you and next to you. So when you are finally willing to grow up, essence becomes your mother and your father. In this process of growing up, you have to see through your pretensions of being an adult. When you see through those pretensions, you have to confront the facts of your childish psychological makeup. You have to see, experience, confront, and understand your smallness, your deficiency, your fears, your inadequacies, and what you believe are your inadequacies. These beliefs about your inadequacies and deficiencies are the basis of the feeling that what you have is not enough. So, our job is to be learning to be adults and to take care of ourselves. Yeah, and I actually wanted also to read you a quote from Eckhart Tolle. He has a book called The Power of Now. I recommend that book. I had to read it twice to start understanding what he means when he says things, but I believe it is possible to crack the book, and he has many valuable thoughts in it. And I would like to read you a quote from his book. So, and it's related to awareness and unconsciousness, consciousness and unconsciousness and consciousness, and how it affects us being unconscious, and how important it is to become aware, to work on our awareness of who we are and where we are at the space and in this space and time. So the quote reads following: "It is misleading to say that somebody chose a dysfunctional relationship or any other negative situation in his or her life. Choice implies consciousness, a higher degree of consciousness. Without it, you have no choice. This means that you are compelled to think, feel, and act in certain ways according to the conditioning of your mind. The mind, conditioned as it is by the past, always seems to recreate what it knows as familiar with. Even if it is painful, at least it is familiar. So even if you are living in a painful situation, in a painful environment, this is your comfort zone, and you are recreating your comfort zone, the comfort zone of your mind. The mind always adheres to the known. The unknown is dangerous because it has no control over it. That's why the mind dislikes and ignores the present moment. Present moment awareness creates a gap, not only in the stream of mind, but also in the past-future continuum. Nothing truly new and creative can come into this world except through that gap, that clear space of infinite possibility. So what he's talking about is the fact that about the power of now. Yes, that that when we stop focusing on the past and the future. And he also says actually somewhere in his book that that suffering, all suffering comes from living in the past or in the future. That actually when we stop and when we stay with the now moment, that is the gap. That is the gap where creativity, where possibility can come in, where new thoughts can come in, new ideas, and we can see new things and new ways of living, creating, sharing. Yeah. Let me just check if there's something in my notes that I forgot to say before I finish. So I think I've shared everything, except there is one little note that I wanted to share. So even though all this video has been about growing up and how important it is and what it means and what are the consequences in adulthood of not growing up, I want to say that in a safe environment with the people we love, with our partners, with our colleagues, with our pets, with our children, it is absolutely okay to be and act a child, childlike, to act childishly, because that's recreating child joy, or that's actually joining, if we do it with our children or with the children at school, that's joining them in their pureness, because children, when I'm with children, I observe them and I see how pure they are in their joy, in their love, in their compassion, in their appreciation. And why not to join them and be childlike sometimes too, right? But at the same time, we can stand up and we can take control of the situation or be there for them anytime is needed. Or I also imagine, why not to act childishly when you go to, for example, a jump arena. Here, just outside of Prague, there's a huge jump arena where there are many trampolines. You can play basketball on a trampoline and you can fight, and fall into those puffy, soft, whatever they are, when someone pushes you down from a beam. And it can be so much fun. And why not to be a child in those situations, right? In those appropriate situations. So this video is not about forgetting how to laugh and how to enjoy life and how to smile. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any comments or questions or additions or any other type of information or a book recommendation or a video recommendation, please do leave those in the comment section. And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.